Living between fear and safety. Hello, my name is Gael Ramirez, and this video is called Living Between Fear and Safety. In this video, I talk about how it feels to live between El Paso and Ciudad Juarez and how insecurity and violence affect daily life routines and community well-being in this border region. My main audience is people who don't really know what it's like to live in a border community, especially students and people who might only hear about the border through the news or politics. I chose this topic because I grew up in this region and I've seen how insecurity shapes everyday routines. For example, people think carefully about when they cross the bridge, where they go, and what time they come back home. Even though El Paso is considered one of the safest cities in the United States, and Juarez has improved compared to its most violent years, many families still live with fear, alerts, and constant caution. I wanted to understand where that fear comes from and what is really behind it. My objective with this research is to explain the factors that contribute to insecurity in the border region. Things like organized crime, weak institutions, economic inequality, and border policies. And to show how both cities respond, not just with the police, but also with community organization. I also want to highlight how insecurity affects mental health, family dynamics, and people's sense of safety. One of the main sources I use is a report by Tony Payan from the Baker Institute at Rice University. Payan explains how Ciudad Juarez became one of the most violent cities in the world between 2007 and 2012. He describes a kind of perfect storm caused by organized crime, weak institutions, dependence on maquiladoras, unemployment, and the city's strategic location on the US-Mexico border. This helped me understand that insecurity in Juarez is not just random violence. It is connected to deeper economic and political structures. I used this source to give historical and economic context to my project. Another important source is an article by Carlos J. Vilalta, who studies community organization against crime in Ciudad Juarez. He explains how neighbors organize themselves through neighborhood watches, community vigilance, and better communication with law enforcement when violence was at its worst around 2008. This source is important for my project because it shows that people are not just passive victims of insecurity. Even when institutions fail, communities try to protect themselves and support each other. It also shows the idea of resilience in border neighborhoods. To understand the US side, I use an article by Nick Merev from the Washington Post. He shows that El Paso remains one of the safest large cities in the United States, even though it is right next to a city known for violence. He uses FBI crime statistics and interviews with law enforcement to prove that violent crime rates in El Paso are very low. This is important because political narratives often exaggerate border danger. and people outside the region sometimes imagine the border as a chaotic or lawless place. This source helped me compare the perception of danger with the actual data. Overall, my research on insecurity in the El Paso Juarez border region shows that safety is more complex than just crime statistics. On one side, El Paso appears safe on paper, but people who live in this region still feel the impact of violence in Mexico through their families, routines, and emotions. On the other side, Juarez has a history of extreme violence linked to economy and political conditions, but it also has communities that organize and resist. I believe this topic is more important because understanding insecurity in border communities can help us design better policies, support mental health, and create safer spaces on both sides of the border. Thank you for watching my video.